Street and West Devon, B Boy Street and West Devon. A man with a gun was shots fired at B Street and West Devon. One of the residents shot a gun in the air 3 times. Baseball cap, tan jacket, light blue jeans, about 50 years of age. Last contact was he was standing on the corner and then disconnected.
Hey,
no further.
You hear any gunshots?
No, but there was 2 little girls just standing here looking down that way as a minute ago.
Okay.
54, can you call them back and see if they have any further direction?
Negative, no number, disconnect without giving it.
Hey, you guys hear any gunshots?
No.
None at all?
We just came up.
But no gunshots. All right, thanks.
We had a ton of shootings growing up here. I remember hearing them all the time. And it wasn't just like single gunshots, they were machine guns going off. So I grew up knowing the machine gun shots as street sweepers because that's what my dad always called it.
For decades, Richmond, California has had a reputation for violence. In 2007, this city of 100,000 people had 47 homicides. It was one of the highest murder rates in the country.
Hey, here's some gunshots. No gunshots. Thank you.
Wait, 3.
But by 2012, homicides had fallen from 47 to 18.
I don't think it happened.
For the first time in years, it seems like peace is possible.
If we could get the young people, start reaching out to the young people and getting them to walk. 7 years ago, I lost a baby brother to gun violence here. He was 18 years old. He was on his way home from work, and he was shot 42 times. We don't want to lose more young Black and brown men like him who were innocent.
The homicides have been driven by feuds between young men in North, Central, and South Richmond. They've divided the city along invisible lines.
Boundaries is more like a turf thing. Like where I'm from the north side of Richmond. Over here, on that side of north is Central. On the other side of Central is South Side. What's up, man? People that's in the madness, the confusion, I would say. I ain't gonna say like a gang and then a war. It's a war, it's a confused war. The people that's in the confused war, they have the limits to where they can go. Growing up, my neighborhood, like I jumped around a lot. From what I remember, my neighborhood was always just vicious. It always had this cycle of violence. But once upon a time, it wasn't as much killing. It was more of feeding the fam and having money than going to just kill back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I came back out to Richmond in high school, and it was all right. I was going to school with Parkchester Village kids, Central kids, South Richmond kids, Norfolk. We was all cool. But after high school is when things start getting shaky. Most dudes don't know what they want to do with their life after high school, so what do? Go hang out in their neighborhoods. And once you start being around the cats that never was doing nothing in the first place, they influence you to get with the same situation they with. You finna go over here and do something to somebody. You riding, you know? And that's how some cats get caught up.
Prior to 2002, 2001, a lot of what was going on was really based on drugs and the underground market. The assaults were much more directed. Folks knew that they were coming. Versus today, random. You got a lot of independent contractors out there trying to earn respect, but also trying to protect themselves. They've got to carry their guns, and they've got to be prepared that someone from another side of town might roll into their neighborhood and shoot them simply because of geography.
In 2006, as homicides spiked, Richmond hired Chris Magnus from Fargo, North Dakota, to transform the police department. Magnus argues that community engagement is key to preventing homicides.
So what I'd like to share with you is what a high-capacity magazine can do when it's being fired on a main street surrounded by neighborhoods. And this is what it sounds like at Stige and Cutting in the city of Richmond. I think there were a lot of us who started to recognize that we had to do more than just make the arrests and the traffic stops, and we had to build a whole new level of engagement and relationships with residents. It sounds so easy, but it's not. I mean, and it means doing some things that don't necessarily come naturally to police officers. You have to get out of the police car. You have to be talking to people. You have to be listening to people. You have to do relentless follow-up.
Are they going to identify you?
No.
What if they do?
And they're lying.
So there would be no fingerprints or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
It's freezing, it's cold.
It is cold. There's a lot of people coming over here right now. You know all these people?
My house right there.
Okay. How you doing, sir? The person was home, right? Okay. Yeah.
It was the
person was
homeowner?
in the house, saw two people in their house. When they saw them, they took off running. And from there, he gave a description of someone in a Raiders hat here.
This is hard to believe now. I mean, because, we live okay, you know.
Yeah.
I have a good income. His mom has a good income.
No, I understand. I mean, it may not even been him. It could have been his buddy, just him hanging out with his buddy, right?
Yeah.
Because some of his buddies probably aren't as lucky as him.
I understand, but he has to make better decisions on.
He does.
On who to hang with and when to hang with him.
And that's where you come in.
Oh man, I try.
Right? Yeah. And the issue's not with us either, right?
Hey man, let me tell you. I used to have a different outlook, about the police too. But shit, I'm glad you're around.
Appreciate that.
But by the fall of 2006, it was clear that the police alone weren't enough. Residents camped out to demand more. The city created the Office of Neighborhood Safety, or ONS, to focus exclusively on gun violence. They work directly with the young men involved.
Who we deal with, on a large part, are young people who neither had anyone who were positive or trusted anybody who was trying to get close to them. And we've caught them at 18, 19, 20 years old. They've been living 20 years, not trusting anybody.
We gotta get you a rap name. What's your rap name?
I don't know. NCA McCullough?
Nah.
See, because my nickname, it has to be fitting. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't want to be called, Thug Crazy, because that's not who I am, right? Okay, so.
Nah. We want something casual.
Something casual. You walk with them. You talk with them. You spend time with them. If you have a shepherd who doesn't smell like sheep, then something's wrong with them. Just had a situation the other night where a young man had a situation where his mom and his younger sister were robbed at gunpoint. His default mindset was, I'm getting ready to go take care of the situation myself. But because of the relationship we've been able to build as a result of the office, he made a phone call and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about.
In Richmond, murders came in clusters as victims' families sought vengeance. In its first 2 years, the ONS tried to prevent retaliation through street outreach. But by 2009, it was clear that wasn't enough.
The chief of police comes in with Devone and introduces him to the group and basically tells us work with him. And we didn't know what the Office of Neighborhood Safety was or who he was, so I was skeptical.
Something happened where I was able to get into a room with our police department, and I began to hear a conversation amongst them where they believed that maybe 15 people were responsible for 70% of the homicides and shootings in 2009.
Now, I knew it, but I couldn't prove it. And I'm not sure if you understand what that means in law enforcement. A lot of times we know things, but because we know something doesn't mean that we have a prosecutable case.
I asked a very raw question, a very basic question. Share with me who you all believe will be dead in the next 6 months. Share with me who you think are the people that are going to be responsible. They were the same people on both sides of the coin. So essentially, who are the catalysts? Who are the instigators? Who are the current active firearm offenders who are out free walking the streets of Richmond right now?
Bogan sent his staff out to invite those young men to City Hall and offer them a deal. The ONS would pay them a stipend and help them with basic goals like getting a driver's license, GED, or health care. In return, they asked them to stop shooting.
When you clearly articulate to them, they're promoting amongst themselves self-genocide. You're killing yourselves. Because not only were 87% of the young men who died on the streets of Richmond looking like you, black and brown young men, they were more than likely killed by someone who looks like you too. And quite frankly, what sense does that make?
So when he was letting us know that thing, it embarrassed me in a way, because it was like, man, it seemed like we just out here some savages, and we're not. I know I'm not. And I know a lot of people around me, not too. It's just the environment you in, man. It's like, we was born in this, and this is what we know, and we know. Cause out here, you can't have a heart. Well, let me rephrase that. You can have a heart, but you can't show it.
The most dramatic change was around what happened in their lives. I mean, I watched these people who I knew were involved in violence stop shooting. What I found unique about ONS is that they are actually working with the people who caused the violence. You know, you see these young men out there on the street, people are afraid of them. And it's hard to help someone who terrifies you.
Keep your hands out of your pockets. Get your hands out of your pockets. What's wrong with you? Keep your hand on top of your head and let your fingers.